mission to build, resupply,
and ultimate journey to shore up the International Space Station.
On April 6, 2026, 4 human beings disappeared behind the moon. Their spacecraft, NASA's Orion capsule, drifted past the curved edge of the lunar surface.
Awesome to see the side of the moon.
Nearly 250,000 miles away from all of it today, the crew of Artemis 2 hit the farthest point in space anyone has traveled before.
And for 40 minutes, every communication link with Earth went dead. No radio, no telemetry, no contact, just silence. And during those 40 minutes, floating farther from home than any human beings in history, they saw something that nobody, in all the centuries of staring up at the moon, has ever been able to see from Earth. They saw the other side. The side that has been permanently turned away from us for as long as our species has existed. The side that, even now, most people still mistakenly call the dark side. And what they photographed, what they documented, what they reported back to NASA, confirmed something that scientists have been quietly struggling to explain for more than 60 years. The far side of the moon is not like the near side. It's not slightly different. It's not a minor variation. It looks like it belongs to an entirely different world, and nobody can fully explain why. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start with what you think you know, because most of what people believe about the dark side of the moon is wrong. First, it's not dark. The far side receives exactly as much sunlight as the side facing us. The name is a leftover from an era before we could see it, when dark just meant unknown. And second, it's not hidden because of some cosmic accident. The moon is tidally locked to the Earth. It rotates on its own axis at precisely the same rate it orbits our planet. This means the same hemisphere always faces us. Not sometimes, always. For billions of years, since shortly after its formation, the moon has kept one face pointed at Earth and the other turned permanently away, like a guard standing at a door who never looks back. No human saw what was behind that door until 1959, when the Soviet probe Lunar 3 sent back the first fuzzy photographs. And when scientists looked at those images, they were baffled. Where the near side has vast, flat, dark plains called maria, ancient lava flows that give the moon its familiar face, the far side had almost nothing. Just 1% of the far side is covered by maria, compared to over 31% of the near side. Instead, the far side was saturated with craters. Layer upon layer of impacts, crammed so densely the surface looked beaten and ancient beyond comprehension. The mystery only deepened as technology improved. NASA's Grail mission, twin orbiters launched in 2011 to map the moon's gravity field, revealed that the far side's crust is roughly 20 kilometers thicker on average than the near side's. The chemical composition is different. The distribution of radioactive, heat-producing elements is lopsided, concentrated overwhelmingly on the near side, and strange, dense structures called mascons, mass concentrations buried beneath the surface, are so heavy they can actually tug a spacecraft off course as it passes overhead. The moon, in other words, is not a uniform ball of rock. It's asymmetric, lopsided, almost as if something violent happened to one side and left the other relatively untouched. For decades, scientists had theories, but no proof. One idea suggested that 2 moons once orbited Earth and merged in the early days of the solar system, with the smaller one splatting onto what is now the far side, creating that extra thick crust. Another proposed that a dwarf planet, roughly 780 kilometers across, collided with the near side at about 22,500 kilometers per hour, reshaping the internal structure in ways that persist to this day. And then, in 2022, researchers at Brown University published a study that offered the most compelling explanation yet. They showed that the impact that formed the moon's enormous South Pole Aitken Basin, one of the largest known impact craters in the entire solar system, at 1,600 miles wide, would have created a colossal plume of heat that propagated through the lunar interior. That plume, like a shockwave through molten rock, carried rare Earth elements and heat-producing materials from the far side to the near side, concentrating them there. This is why the near side erupted with lava for billions of years, filling its basins with dark basalt, while the far side remained geologically cold, quiet, and ancient. One impact, billions of years ago, and it made the two halves of the moon into fundamentally different worlds. Now, fast forward to April 2026. The Artemis II crew, Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialists Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen, became the first humans since the Apollo era to see the moon up close. And they went further. They flew 252,756 miles from Earth, more than 4,100 miles beyond the Apollo 13 record. They became the farthest humans from home in the history of our species. And what they saw on the far side stunned them. Victor Glover, the first black astronaut to travel around the moon, described the Terminator line, the boundary between lunar day and night, in vivid terms. He said there was so much magic in the Terminator. Islands of light, valleys that looked like black holes. He said if you stepped into some of them, you'd fall straight to the center of the moon. Christina Cook noted that smaller, recent impact craters on the far side were far brighter than expected, describing the surface as looking like a lampshade with tiny pinprick holes. The crew documented impact craters, ancient lava flows, and surface fractures across terrain that no human had ever directly observed. They photographed the Vavilov crater on the rim of the ancient Hertzsprung basin, capturing the transition from smooth inner material to rugged terrain in stunning detail. They imaged the Oriental basin, a 600-mile-wide ringed crater straddling both sides of the moon, visible in its entirety from space for the first time through human eyes. And they looked directly at the South Pole Aitken Basin itself, the largest, deepest, and oldest known impact structure on the moon. But it wasn't just the geology that made headlines. During the flyby, with the sun blocked behind the lunar disk, the crew experienced a 53-minute total solar eclipse from space, far longer than any eclipse visible from Earth. They described seeing the sun's corona as thin wisps they called baby hairs, glowing around the moon's edge. And without the sun's glare, in the deep darkness behind the moon, they saw something nobody expected. 6 brief flashes on the dark lunar surface. Meteoroid impacts, rocks from space slamming into the far side in real time, observed by human eyes for the first time in history. NASA's Associate Administrator for Science, Nikki Fox, said the images were so exquisite and brimming with science, they will inspire generations to come. But while Artemis II was photographing the far side from orbit, the real bombshell had already arrived here on Earth, in a container, from China. In June 2024, China's Chang'e 6 spacecraft did something no nation had ever done. It landed on the far side of the moon, inside the South Pole Aitken Basin, scooped up 1,935.3 grams of soil and rock, and brought them back to Earth. The first samples from the far side in human history. And when Chinese scientists opened those containers and began their analysis, the results fundamentally changed our understanding of the moon. Radiometric dating of basalt fragments showed that volcanic activity on the far side occurred approximately 2.83 billion years ago, combined with earlier evidence of eruptions around 4.2 billion years ago. This proved that volcanism on the far side had persisted for at least 1.4 billion years, far longer than many models predicted for a region supposedly depleted of heat-producing elements. But here's what really shook the scientific community. Analysis of the basalt revealed that the far side mantle is significantly drier than the near side. The water content in the mantle source was just 1 to 1.5 micrograms per gram. This asymmetry in water distribution between the two hemispheres, confirmed for the first time with actual physical samples, isn't just a curiosity, it's evidence. Evidence that supports the giant impact hypothesis, the theory that the moon was born when a Mars-sized object called Theia collided with the proto-Earth about 4.5 billion years ago, sending a cascade of debris into orbit that eventually coalesced into the gray sphere we see in the night sky. Scientists also extracted, for the first time, ancient magnetic field data from the far side, revealing that around 2.8 billion years ago, the moon's magnetic field may have experienced a rebound in intensity. This suggests the lunar dynamo, the internal engine that once generated a global magnetic field, didn't simply fade and die. It fluctuated, it pulsed, and the implications for understanding how the moon's interior cooled and evolved are enormous. The lead researcher described the findings as humanity's first direct access to key evidence of the deep interior material properties on the far side. A crucial step, he said, toward unraveling the mystery behind the dramatic differences between the two lunar hemispheres. And there's something else hiding on the far side that has both scientists and governments very interested. The far side, because it's permanently shielded from Earth, receives no human radio interference. None. It is the quietest place in the inner solar system for radio astronomy. A telescope placed there could listen for signals that are completely impossible to detect from Earth, drowned out by our own electromagnetic noise. And there's a resource buried in that ancient soil. Because the far side isn't shielded by Earth's magnetosphere the way the near side partially is, it's been bathed in solar wind for billions of years. That means the far side Maria are expected to contain the highest concentration of helium-3 on the lunar surface. Helium-3 is rare on Earth. It's a potential fuel for fusion reactors. And it's sitting on the side of the moon that nobody, until very recently, could even reach. Now, both the United States and China are racing toward permanent infrastructure on and around the moon. NASA's Artemis 4 mission, currently targeted for early 2028, aims to land astronauts near the South Pole. China has Chang'e 7 scheduled for 2026 to survey for water ice at the South Pole, and Chang'e 8 in 2028 to test resource utilization on site. Both nations are building toward permanent bases, and the South Pole, straddling the edge between the near and far sides, is where those ambitions converge. So what's really hiding on the dark side of the moon? Not aliens, not secret bases. Something more profound than any conspiracy theory could imagine. Evidence of a cataclysmic birth. A 4.5 billion-year-old wound from the collision that made the moon in the first place. An interior so lopsided that one half erupted with lava for billions of years, while the other froze into a cratered wasteland. A magnetic field that pulsed when scientists thought it was dying. A surface bone dry in ways the near side isn't. And a silence so deep, so total, so free from human noise, that it might be the best place in the solar system to listen for signals from somewhere else entirely. For all of human history, we've looked up at the moon and seen only one face. The same face. Night after night, century after century. And that face, it turns out, has been hiding the most extraordinary half of the story. The half we're only now, for the first time, beginning to read.